all the important work that we must collectively do to protect each other. And happy Black History Month. And so I want to extend my heartfelt thanks and congratulations to the African Communities Public Health Coalition for organizing, for doing all of that work. I'll do that at the end of April. And to convene us and to have a community well-being summit. You know, your dedication to advancing health, rights, and opportunities for African and immigrant communities is timely and important for the obvious reasons. Yes? Yes. For the obvious reasons. I want to acknowledge our distinguished guests and thank the African Union for your partnership. You know, I was listening to the previous panel, and there were a couple of people, and I'm hearing it more and more, who are talking about we can't be distracted. And people acknowledged here in Los Angeles that we have lots of organizations. And I'm here to tell you a very painful truth. Most people are disconnected. Now, all of you in this room, you have chosen to be here to have this important conversation on a beautiful Saturday. There are many other places you could be. But when we think about the sheer number of people who have been and will continue to be impacted by these horrific policies coming from the federal government, not enough of our family, friends, and neighbors are connected, have access to information to help them. So what are we going to do about that? Yes, there are organizations. Yes, you are here. But we have all got to do a better job of reaching out to the disconnected. And you wonder, how could people be disconnected in this era of social media and technology? And let me tell you, LA County's 10 million, 2 million per supervisorial district, and it occurred to me, it hit me, the realization so deeply and profoundly during COVID, how disconnected people are, how disconnected Black people are. There was a time you could go to the Black church and deliver a message and know that it would permeate throughout the community. That is not the case anymore for our entire demographic. There was a time you could show up at a school and know that you could communicate the message. A barber shop, a hair salon. There are far too many Black people who don't have a community or a connection to a trusted information source. It is social media. You know, I thought, because I'm old and naive, that TikTok is where you went to get the new dance craze. So to acknowledge that people use TikTok as their primary source of news breaks my heart every day. I know. So we have to figure out as a collective how we connect to our very own family, friends, and neighbors who are disconnected. How all of you who are here are going to go home and back to your communities and connect and touch at least 10 more people to share with them what you've learned, what you've heard, and what we're going to do about it. I was sharing, I was so glad to hear my sister talk about the importance of showing up to a school board meeting. And you know, while we are so concerned about what that man is doing who lives at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, I would argue that what we should also be focusing on and what our strategy should be is hyper-local. How many of you live in LA County? I'm not going to ask how many of you know who your county supervisor is. I'm not going to ask. You know, there are 5 of us who oversee 10 million, a budget of $50 billion. And I wish I could walk into a board meeting on Tuesday and see you there. And most Tuesdays I don't. I'm not asking you to come every Tuesday, but most Tuesdays I don't see you. And we're making decisions every day that have a direct impact on your life. And so we have to figure out how we are going to show up places, school board, city council, board of supervisors, to bring our focus to the hyper-local that impacts us every single day. I had an aha moment about a week ago. I was in a meeting, I chaired the first 5 commission for LA County, the commission that oversees care for 0 to 5 population across LA. And we had a presentation from a foundation leader, and it was on our immigration policies that are being dismantled as we painfully bear witness. And she went through this long, beautiful presentation about, really the role of kind of the immigrant in our society, and they contribute X amount, and blah, 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 and they are the lifeblood of our economy. When we think about LA County is home to over 75,000 Black immigrants. She's going through all of this data. And it hit me that we have allowed ourselves to be in a position where we are justifying our existence. So when we talk about the distraction, we have to stand strong, square our shoulders, and say we're not going to be distracted. We know all of those stats and facts to be true. It is a white supremacist ideology coming out of D.C. that is fueling this hate. It's really very simple. And I think it's important that we acknowledge that we don't have to explain our right to be here and the power of the economy we bring forward to this county, this country. From my perspective, that's a given. But what I also think is important, as I say to broader audiences, whether my household is mixed status or not, I have an opportunity and a responsibility to be informed and be prepared to defend my brother or sister. And so just like for racial hate and crimes, violent acts against women, we have this whole notion of bystander training. I have encouraged everyone, and my staff and me included, that we have a responsibility to go through the immigrant rights training. We don't have a bystander training program. We just need to go through an immigrant rights training so we are prepared and have the information for when we are at school or when we are in some space and ICE shows up, we have to be prepared to know what to do, to fundamentally know our rights. I'm so glad the doctor raised the issue, or someone on the panel raised the issue about schools. I was proud, sadly, in the last Trump administration, to introduce and pass along California that demanded that in any ICE detention facility, someone be given as many phone calls as they needed to make arrangements for their children. Can you imagine that that wasn't the practice before 2016? People were picked up and no arrangements were being made, and we knew that because we saw the uptick of the children of immigrants in our foster care system because their parents had been taken without being given an opportunity to make a plan for their children. So those are the circumstances in which we are currently attempting to live and thrive. But I am here to tell you that with a collective commitment and mission and support of each other, I am clear, not only will we survive, we will thrive. That's right. But I am asking you all to heed my cry, my solicitation, that you think about how you focus hyperlocal, how you identify the disconnected, perhaps in your own household, in your community, people who aren't connected to organizations and have limited access to fact-based information. Social media is going to be the death of me. I've decided I can't look at it first thing in the morning because the misinformation, the hyperbole, frankly, he's beat us at it. They do it much better than we do. So we have to establish the relationships with each other and have trusted sources that we can reach out to talk about what we can do to support each other. I am working every day in collaboration with many of you here in the room to make sure that we build a stronger future for African immigrants here in LA. I'm proud to represent many enclaves from Little Ethiopia to Hawthorne to Inglewood communities where my African immigrant brothers and sisters are establishing themselves from small businesses and growing and thriving. And I want you to know that I see you, and we're working hard together to dismantle systemic barriers and truly promote equity. That is not easy. I am one of 5. I'm the only one that looks like me. And so that's why I am also asking you all to really show up. I need you to show up for me. So when I stand up at the Board of Supervisors and say, I need an equitable distribution of resources, I'm not standing alone. That you show up and help me make the argument to bring resources to our community. This is not a new fight for us, unfortunately. It is a fight I know we can win. But as the previous panel so eloquently talked about, we have to organize, we have to stand together, and we have to show up. I'm going to go a little off script. Sorry to my moderator. Questions you may have of me. I am happy to engage. Questions you may have of me.